Hey everyone, it's Gamefruitpulp, and welcome back to another Minecraft video. Today we're going to be returning to the topic of one of my most popular videos on the channel. We're going to be talking about the biggest issue in Minecraft, in my opinion, and how to address that issue, and that is the build limit. So if you don't know, this is an issue that's been pretty important to me for a long time, mainly since I started building the Building Toronto project, and I did a video on it a while ago, and it's one of the most popular videos on my channel. And I put a suggestion on the Minecraft suggestion page as well, and that was one of the most popular posts on the suggestion page. But I think that it's time to sort of update my stance and provide some more sort of a better recommendation on how to implement this than last time. And I sort of listened to everyone's feedback and understood got a better idea of how the game sort of loads the chunks and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that it was with the sort of resetting of the Minecraft recommendations page, I thought it was a good time to sort of redo this video and sort of share that on the Minecraft recommendations page. So if this is how you're watching that video, then hello. This is an issue that I've cared about for a while. But if you haven't seen the first video, I recommend watching that because I sort of set the groundwork on why I think this should be one of the newest changes in the game. But without further ado, I guess, you know what? I'll do a quick summary of that video too, just in case. So basically, I think that the build limit should be raised. I think it should be raised to, I guess, in total by up to 1,024 blocks. The raise has to be binary, so it has to be a multiple of 256. So we're going to multiply 256 by 4, and we're going to end up with 1,024. I think that to better implement this, we should implement negative y coordinates, similar to how we have negative x and negative z. And so basically you'd have 512 up and 512 below 0. So in total, 1,024 blocks. I think this is the best number right now for the game because it's simply the next multiple up. It's that when the last time they raised the build limit, they did the same thing. It was 128, and then they multiplied that by 2. They doubled it to stay in the binary, and then it went to 256. So my thought process is that we would double it again to go to 512, and then add 512 on the negative scale as well. Whether or not this is implemented in survival and in normal and super flat, I would like to see it implemented in both, but I think it would probably be easier and less of a sort of issue to implement it in super flat before implementing it in survival. I simply think this just because in super flat almost everyone's building in creative, so you don't need to worry about things like 500 depth of caves. In the last video I talked about how maybe the water level should be dropped to 0 and everything below the water level is negative, kind of how it is in real life when you talk about altitudes. If in real life when you talk about altitudes you relate it to ocean level or sea level. So for example, New Orleans sits below sea level and that's why it floods so frequently. So when you look at New Orleans altitude, it's actually a negative. Similarly, I thought you could do that in Minecraft, except then the sort of issue that has sort of been raised to me from that sort of proposal is then we have caves that are 512 blocks deep, and that's not great. So I don't really know how to deal with that yet in survival, which is one of the reasons why I thought maybe it could be implemented first in the super flat world, and then sort of from there they could maybe figure out a way to implement it into the survival world. But I think that it's overdue for a change to Minecraft to increase the build limit. If I remember correctly, the last time they increased the build limit was almost 6 years ago, and so the game has changed quite a bit since then. It's really developed. When you go back to sort of what was in the game at the time of raising the build limit to 256 compared to now, I'd say we probably almost doubled the total number of building blocks. There's a lot of people building really, really amazing things, whether it's mountains or buildings or anything in between. And just imagine how much better these builds could be if they had a higher build limit to play with. The mountains could be more realistic. The builds could be accurate heights, which is the issue we're having on this map right now, is that the builds can't be built to the height they're supposed to be because the build limit doesn't let us. Obviously, the sort of concern with this, and the concern that was raised in the comments quite a bit, is a concern about performance. If you increase the build limit, won't performance struggle for computers? There was a lot of debate on the older version of this video about this and whether or not the performance would be worse. Ultimately, I think the conclusion was it wouldn't. If I understood correctly, basically Minecraft has loads up chunks subdivided up into things called subchunks, which are basically just 16 by 16 by 16 cubes. And so that's basically the reason why you're not loading up, well, this is a super flat world, but if you're on a normal world, you wouldn't be loading up the structures of caves 100 blocks beneath you when you can't see them, sort of to make sure that you're not sort of wasting your computer's abilities to load things you can't see. So when you raise the build limit, the same thing would happen. As long as you're not sort of building, like as long as you're in a certain area, that's what's going to load. Now, the other concern about this, and this was raised in the actually in the official Minecraft Discord, I was talking about this, is that the only time this is going to sort of have a concern is if you're building in the air. If you're building like a skyblock map or something like that, then you're going to have performance issues if there's one thing like 300 blocks below you and then another thing 300 blocks above. But that's such a small niche that really, again, if you're worried about that, the maker of the skyblock map could just not utilize the feature. If it's just air, it's not going to affect your loading abilities. And so I think that ultimately there's not really that much of a downside as much as I could find. Like I really tried to find downsides to my sort of recommendation, because it's the best way to build a better argument is to talk to people who are against what you're proposing. And there were people who were concerned about these sort of performance issues, and I am too. Like I don't want to sort of make the game run like a potato because of the build height increase, but from what I understood, that wouldn't happen either. And so I'm hoping that maybe going into 1.14, we can see an increase in the world limit and the world build height limit to 512 on the positive and the negative axis. Because even an increase to 512, well, that's great. Like we're doubling the height we can build. The world's tallest buildings still can't be built on a 1-to-1 scale. Things like the CN Tower. CN Tower is 556 meters tall, if I remember correctly. So we still wouldn't be able to fit it in 512 block high map. So ultimately, I'd love to see an increase, like I said, in total of 1,024 with 512 above and 512 below. That's what I'm going to propose again on the Minecraft recommendations page. But if you guys have any feedback, I'd love to hear it, because again, feedback is the way you make your proposals better. Hopefully we can get this put in for 1.14, since 1.13 has been out for almost a month now, and people seem to be sort of really moving towards what they want to see in 1.14. I know there's some people for a cave update, and again, that could be tied into the build limit. You can make the caves a lot better if you have more cave depth. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoy the video, be sure to hit like and share the channel with some of your friends. Aside from that, really let me know feedback. Like really give me your feedback on this idea, because I'd love, like I said, I'd love to make it sort of a better fine-tuned recommendation. And I can obviously change the recommendation on the Minecraft suggestions page as I get feedback on the topic. So let me know what you guys think. Aside from that, my name is Gamefruitpulp. This has been Minecraft. Hope you guys have a good day. I will see you all next time. Have a good one.